Hi, this is Tony from Sykes Harley-Davidson, and today I am going to tell you everything you need to know about the 2020 Softail Lowrider S. So we all remember the Dyna Lowrider S, and now Harley has decided to bring it to the Softail platform. So I'm going to walk you through the bike and tell you some of the similarities and some of the differences from the Dyna. If we start from the front, just like the Dyna Lowrider S, the Softail Lowrider S features twin disc front brakes and inverted front forks. This gives you much better handling and of course better braking performance. Just like the Dyna Lowrider S featured gold wheels front and rear, the Softail Lowrider S features these really nice dark bronze wheels. Personally, I would have liked to see these a little bit brighter, and I think that would have played into the contrast that we see throughout the bike. However, that dark bronze finish does tie in quite nicely with the dark custom styling of this bike, and it also means that they're going to show up the dirt less, which makes it easier to clean. As we make our way up the front forks, you can see the whole front end is blacked out. I think it looks really cool. I really like the wrinkle black finish which features throughout this bike. I think it ties everything together really nicely. So you can see it here on the triple clamps, it carries throughout the engine, and it also carries onto the rear fender struts. The blacked out headlight cowl is again in keeping with the club style that the Dyna had, and it carries across onto the Softail platform. I think it bridges really nicely into the handlebars and the risers. So you've got 4-inch risers here, and then you've got classic pullback handlebars, a little bit higher up than you'd probably have on a standard bike, but again it makes for a really nice seating position. I'll show you what it looks like with me sat on it in just a moment. While we're talking about the front end, something that's really important to mention is that the Lowrider S features a reduced rake angle over the standard Lowrider. So the standard Lowrider has a 30-degree rake angle, which feeds into that classic nostalgia chopper styling, whereas the Lowrider S has got a reduced rake angle of 28 degrees. To give you a bit of an indication, 28 degrees is the same rake angle that you have on a fat bob. That reduced rake angle, in conjunction with the inverted front forks, gives you a much firmer feeling front end, and it makes for really nice steering. That means your handling is significantly improved, especially at speed and especially as you run through corners. As we move back onto the tank, I really love what Harley's done with the tank on this bike. I love the graphics. I think that the lettering, which is reminiscent of those really early Harleys of the 20s and 30s, looks fantastic. I love what Harley's done, carrying through the styling of the standard Lowrider with the tank mounted dash and having the speedo and the RPM indicator one above the other. And I love the fact that they've taken that dark custom theme and applied it here and carried on that wrinkle black finish that flows throughout the bike. That of course brings us onto the engine. Now, the engine on this bike was always going to be one of the biggest selling points. We all remember the Screaming Eagle 110 that was in the Dyna Lowrider S, and the Softail Lowrider S features the Milwaukee-Eight 114. This motor produces a hell of a lot of power. If you haven't ridden anything with a 114, ride something with a 114. That is the only way that you're going to get a feeling for this motor. The engine on the Softail Lowrider S features the same wrinkle black finish that carries throughout the bike. I really love the way that the wrinkle black contrasts with the gloss black of the air cleaner, the foot peg mounts and the lower rocker covers. I think that's a really nice little detail. Something no doubt some of you will have spotted is that the Lowrider S doesn't feature the same external preload adjustment that a lot of the top end Softails do. Personally, I think that was the right call for the styling of the bike. The whole idea of the styling of the Lowrider S is nostalgic club style, and I don't think that the external preload adjustment would have fitted in with the nostalgia that Harley was going for with this bike. Although it can be used for touring, and of course there is a full pillion setup for this bike, I see this primarily as being a solo bike, and so once you've got your suspension set up and dialed in, you won't be adjusting your suspension as much as you would be on the other Softails which are designed for touring. That of course brings us up onto the seat. The stock seat on the Lowrider S is really nicely scooped, and that in conjunction with the slightly further forward than usual mids and the handlebars on this bike makes for a really nice seating position. It's really comfortable, and it also gives you a great feeling of control when you're riding, especially when you're doing what the Lowrider S is designed for, weaving through corners, going a bit fast, all of that good stuff. As we move towards the back of the bike, you can see that the same wrinkle black finish that carries throughout is continued on the fender struts. I think it makes for a really nice contrast between the turn signals, the rear fender and the fender struts, just like it did on the engine with the air cleaner. Okay, so let's hop on the bike so you can see how it looks with me sitting on it. So I'm 5'10", and this is where I sit naturally on the bike. As I mentioned earlier, that scoop in the seat provides really nice support, and the handlebars, although they're slightly higher than usual, they're still in a really nice position. And what I love about the 4-inch risers and the bars on this bike are the fact that it gives you a really aggressive stance and a really nice feel as you dip into the corners. That feeling of positive control is great with the power that you're producing from the Milwaukee-Eight 114. Alright, so now that you've seen what the bike looks like with me sitting on it, let's spin it around so we can have a look at the other side. Okay, so on the left-hand side of the bike, if we start from the front, we've got a caliper on the left-hand side as well, because we've got twin disc front brakes. As we work our way back, we've got a wrinkle black finish primary, which carries through that dark custom theme, and it works really nicely in contrast with the gloss black foot controls and the derby couple. Alright, that's our video. So thanks for watching, and if you enjoyed seeing what I had to say about the Softail Lowrider S, make sure to like, subscribe, share, all of that good stuff, and I'll see you on the next one.
Oh!
That brings us up. Even the birds don't like my commentary. That brings us up onto the seat. I'm gonna murder you.
Guys.
I hate you so much. Stop calling me a PE teacher. Macho, macho man.